Corey here from the Mentored Engineer, and I'm excited because we're having a giveaway. So it dawned on me that it is roller coaster season. Oh my gosh, it's almost on our hands here. So I'm gonna give away 2 annual passes to the park of your choice so you can bring your friends, right? And that's just exciting, right? Woo! Let's go on some coasters. All right, so how do you enter? Well, first of all, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I can't believe you haven't already, and ring the bell thingy. All right, but then you gotta leave a comment, and it's gotta make me laugh. So pretty much the funniest comment that's gonna make me laugh is gonna be the winner. That could be you, all right? I'm a funny guy, I like funny things. Okay, so it could be a joke, could be a funny story, embarrassing situation that you put your kids in. I love all that stuff. Go ahead and put that in your comment. We will select a winner on May 5th of 2023. That's only good for people living in the US. So if you are an engineer fan and you don't live in the US, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to get a free design of weldments class. All you gotta do is go to mentoredengineer.com and sign up for our weekly newsletter, and you will be entered into the contest. That will also be announced on May 5th. And now, on to the show. Hey, welcome to the Mentored Engineer. I'm glad you're here. In this video, we're going to talk more about our cart, but it's going to be a montage of our fabrication process. So if you missed the previous 2 videos, you're going to want to check the cards up here where we did one on cart motion, making sure that we account for all the degrees of freedom that our cart has, and another one for the actual design of my cart. Well, this one we're going to fabricate it. Without further ado, here we go. But first, please take a second to like and subscribe so that this can get out to more and more people, and we can keep the channel growing to bring you more nerdy content. Now let's get to it. Alright, so I was hoping to have all these laser cut parts actually cut on a laser, and I thought I could get hooked up, but not. So I had to redesign the parts slightly so that I can fab them. What we're going to be using to fab them is simply a circular saw with a metal cutoff disc in here. I got a vise, and we'll have a jigsaw here with a metal blade. Designed a lot of these parts, and here's one of them. What I'm gonna do now is I've made a drawing with a 1-to-1 printout of our part. So basically what I'm gonna do, we're gonna play paper dolls. Go ahead and cut our part out. We want to cut just slightly outside the line. Now I've got my part. So what I'm gonna do, come over here and actually just put that on top and go ahead and mark this out, and I need 4 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and mark all of them, and I'm interlacing them so that I can use common cut lines. I only have 2 critical things on, or actually 3. I need the location of this line, the location of that line, and the location of the hole. Alright, and as long as I line up these 2 and then drill a hole through the rest of them, I really don't care what the rest of the part looks like. All right, let's see what we got here. Excellent. Go ahead and lay our template, our drawing, paper doll, over it. Okay. Now that, my friends, is a dull bit. You can see how much it's smoking. It's just producing heat. I'll let that thing cool off and throw it away. That cut so much better. No squeaking. Alright, so the next part I've been working on is cutting out our 4 rocker arms for the rear axles. So this will go up and down, and it'll have a wheel here and a wheel here, and it pivots there, and then it attaches to square tubing there. So what we're gonna do, since all of this is pretty critical, we're gonna drill all these at the same time. Alright, so I'm gonna pilot in here, here, and there, and make sure all those line up. But most importantly, I'm actually gonna pilot in this radius right here and right there, and then we'll come in with our jigsaw and cut those out. All right, so we got all of our pilot holes done. And there is our first part. All we gotta do is go in there and cut those holes across, and then cut that little spot. All 3 of these square tubes are gonna have a piece of this tube put through it. All right, so we need to drill a hole and, you know, weld that tube in. These are all the parts that pivot with the bogie, either the front or the rear of the steering. All right, let's go. I think it'll work. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make left and right hand sides of these plates by pushing bronze bushings into them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our vise here. We're going to open up the jaw and get our flange started in there. And we're going to press fit it in with a hammer. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to take your hammer and just start hammering it in there. Take a piece of scrap steel and go ahead and put that on top and then start hammering away. All right. And then all of a sudden it slides on there fine. And so we're about to tack up and weld our front bogie assembly. What I've done is I've taken my piece of all thread And I've taken the spacer out of the wheel here. Alright, so here we have our completed front bogie. The other thing that I've been working on is securing the rear bogie here so that when we go through the roll action, the rear wheels actually follow that. And what I've done is I've actually welded on this piece right here and this piece underneath of the end of the bogie. And you can see here when I move this, that it rolls very nicely each way. Now you'll notice that there's gaps on each way, but that's okay. This thing will rock back and forth a little bit. And the pin in the center will not be fully tightened. It'll be a little bit loose. Now it does have the weight normally pushing up. I mean, we're talking loose by like a 64th of an inch or so. So you can see that this joint will rock back and forth just by us moving just a little bit. As long as we use a lock nut here, I'm not going to have a problem with it loosening up at any point. We also got our bogies here, and you can see they rock back and forth, so we have good alignment. I've taken my tape measure and measured from the outside to outside, and done that a bunch of different places, and made sure that all those dimensions were exactly the same. When I first started, I did have them cocked in there just a little bit and they wouldn't rotate, but as soon as I straightened that out just a little bit, I mean, it was barely anything. The whole thing became very free to rotate back and forth. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to disassemble the two components here and then weld in these brackets right there, and then we'll be done with that part. The next thing we'll be on to is actually going in and welding our brackets in here that support the two bogies here. And then we'll actually be able to roll the cart on the ground. I'm sure we're going to have some fun with that. Having self-steering bogie axle, the wheel is actually slightly behind, which means that the weight of the wheel is pushing down here and pushing up back here, causing a moment here. And which in this case, it lines up the bolt in my swivel joint. Okay, so we've made our modification here to our front pivot, and what we've done is like I said, we welded a tube in right here on the top, and then a plate to go on top of it, so that if you see here, you got the original plate here, and then another plate to hold that tube in. I did have to drill out the hole a little bit because it did warp a little bit, so we now have a joint that pivots here well, and then as I turn this, it still pivots much better than it did before. Before it didn't pivot at all. Now I can do it, but I'm trying to hold it on the thread while I do it. And then also, there's nothing restraining us from actually pivoting in the longer tube that's up here. So in all honesty, it's probably going to pivot on the top part anyway. And our cart is starting to take shape. It actually looks like something that we could actually start using. We've got our rear bogie here and our front bogie here, and front bogie pivots side to side and rotates, and our rear bogie pivots. So hey, we're making some progress here. It's actually starting to look like something. So we lost some videos in the process, so I'm going to take you back and show you exactly how I did certain things here. All right, so let's go ahead and take the bogies off. We had to make these two long beams right here, and this is the beam that will support all the weight. Now I've cut it here at a 12-degree angle from this one to this one, and put a joining plate in the middle so that we can fillet weld all the way around, and the plate offers us to balance out all the forces in the tube. The reason that we angled this was so that we could get our center mass as low to the track as possible, Yeah, but we still want, you know, when we go over a hill, that it won't bottom out. Alright, so we're almost done with our cart weldment. What I've done here is added the top rails and the backing support right here. And then I went ahead and reassembled it because I want to start moving on to the next part, which is putting cushions here and here. And after I get the cushions in and I figure out exactly where they need to be, I'm going to go ahead and put in my last two members in between here. So let's go ahead and get that started. Alright, cool. I got one side done. Hey parents, are you tired of your kids spending way too much time in front of a computer doing nothing? Why don't you get them outside and build a giant, awesome roller coaster with them? Hey, it's a great opportunity to bond with your kids and teach them about building stuff and stuff they're just not going to learn in school. So come on out to mentoredengineer.com/rollercoaster and I will show you step by step how to do this and avoid major pitfalls. And you'll get screams of delight, just like this one.